Hi, my name is Megan, and I've been a member at First Christian for over 20 years. And a few years back, when Rooted was introduced to First Christian, I really wanted to join it, but I wasn't living locally at the time, so it was never a good time. I found out last February that I would be moving to North Canton, so immediately, before I even found a house, I got on First Christian's website and found out when the next Rooted session was going to start. It was going to start in the next couple of months, so I signed up, I committed, and then COVID happened. And I moved, and I found out that Rooted was going to be on an online platform, which honestly kind of broke my heart. Living in a church, like church in my life, my whole life, I know what kind of vulnerability and intimacy comes with small groups, and I didn't think I would find that in an online platform. But I gave it a chance, and on the introduction night, I hopped on Zoom, and Sean and Ryan were introducing Rooted. And they said something that struck me, and they said half of the people sitting there probably wouldn't finish the 10 weeks. God, knowing my competitive spirit, knew that that's all I needed to hear to commit to the 10 weeks. So I joined, and I committed to that 10 weeks, and I'm glad that I did. I think that when people have hearts of faith, they make intentional decisions, and God starts to orchestrate people in their lives and moments in their lives. And that's exactly what Rooted became to me. So we separated into our smaller groups, and all of a sudden I was faced with a Brady Bunch grid of 13 women that I've never met before in my life. And we started introducing ourselves. One of the women, her name was Jen, she started to say her story, and she was coming out of a season that I was entering into. And I actually wrote Jen's name down on a piece of paper, and I wrote, "This is the reason why God had you in this group." And lo and behold, I started telling my story, and uncharacteristically, I said what street I lived on. Jen popped up on a chat, and she asked me about where I lived. Long story short, she was directly across the street from me. So the house I picked, the Rooted session I picked, the people I picked, it was all orchestrated by God. So we jumped in, and the first couple of weeks, having grown up in a church, I honestly didn't know if Rooted was for me, because it was going through the basic foundations of what is baptism, why do we believe in the Bible, who is Jesus? And I almost emailed Sean, but I didn't. I held off. In that fourth week, I don't even remember what we were studying that fourth week, but there was a level of vulnerability that I was looking for, and all of the walls came crashing down. All of us were crying, we were laughing, we were crying again. And I remember that particular week, I had had a really tough time in my life. I was transitioning at the beginning of a divorce with 2 little boys, and I was just trying to find my place at First Christian and just being here in North Canton and starting all over again. And that group, I'm not one to ask for help, but that group heard the whisper of God, and God put something into their heart to fill a need for me. And the very next day, they came to my rescue. I had $5 in my bank account and didn't know how to feed my family. And I got a call, a miscellaneous call to check under my doormat, and there was a gift certificate to Giant Eagle. So, and I didn't even mention that in my week, so I don't even know how God did his thing, and he worked on their hearts. But from that point on, it didn't matter how small the problem was or big the problem was. If there was a need, one of us met that need. And if we couldn't meet that need, we found somebody that could. And so needs were being met, the small group was getting closer. At the end of the 10 weeks, we decided to have a socially distant potluck. It wasn't very socially distant. Anyway, we had a potluck dinner, and I was really nervous to meet these women face to face for the first time. But when I turned the corner and I saw all of them, it was like seeing family. I mean, this small group, even though we were meeting online, it had that same intimate level that you find with other Christ followers in small groups. And I was so thankful for that. God orchestrated that whole thing, and that 2-hour potluck dinner turned into like a 4-hour night that none of us wanted to leave. So, and then we got to meet all the other Rooted groups shortly after that. And I guess my biggest takeaway is when you make that intentional step forward in your faith, God orchestrates the whole thing, and you got to give it a chance. And whether or not you just stepped into First Christian today, or you've been attending for 20 plus years, or you're just in North Canton trying to figure out where you belong, Rooted is exactly where you need to be, because it's going to guide you exactly where God wants you to be. So Rooted to me has given me this group of women who we still, I mean, it's been 2 months past Rooted and we're still in each other's lives. We're delivering groceries to each other. We're helping install air conditioning units. I mean, we're still right there with one another, and we would do anything for one another. So for sure, Rooted is my jam.